Hi, and thanks for joining me for another week with Mirree's Dreamtime Messages. Thanks for joining me again this week. I appreciate everyone here, and I also encourage your likes, shares, and comments, as it really helps in growing this channel so we can together learn more about the animals and the messages that they're bringing to us every week. And also, the cycles in nature, which are pretty much reflecting our own emotional cycles as well, which can sometimes be a bit tricky to pick up at times with everything going on in the world at the moment. And so we're going to be starting a brand new week, which is basically about the third week of September now, so we've only got like a couple of weeks left. I feel like it was only yesterday and we were talking about it being the first week of September, and now we're already at the third week. And so it's probably like roughly only about 14 weeks till Christmas, dare I mention that. And so it's also fast approaching as well. And so springtime has definitely arrived here in Australia with some beautiful cherry blossoms that have been coming out, which is a true miracle of nature, of God's beautiful, wildlife and nature. So I hope you were able to spend some time in nature this week, which is really important in us growing our emotional currents, and also in being tuned with the messages of nature and what they're trying to tell us. And if you haven't already got your Dreamtime card deck, you can also follow along every week with the guidebook in the animals that we're choosing every week. Every Sunday I draw out 3 cards, and this gives us some spiritual guidance during troubled times and uncertainty. And so the week is going to be starting the 15th of September and running until the 21st. The 21st is on Sunday. Next Sunday is International Day of Peace, and today is the third quarter moon. And so what the third quarter moon is helping us with during this time, which only really lasts for one day, and so it's helping us to let go and surrender to the goals that we're not able to control right now. And there is nothing that in particular that we need to do other than surrender to the idea that your dream will come about. And so allow yourself to breathe and give up any resistance you feel in relation to your dream. And so actually that is what's happening after the third quarter moon. I read the wrong one. The third quarter moon is today actually, and it is the last quarter before the new moon. It only lasts for one day, and after the third quarter moon there's basically 7 days until the new moon, and so it'll be 7 days until the new moon. And it's the perfect time for reflecting on any new intentions which you'd like to make for the new moon phase, which is only about 7 days away now. So it's a great time to start planning. It's also great for working on yourself through meditation and forgiveness rituals. And so just allow yourself to let go or set aside any wrongdoings through forgiveness which may have come up or impacted you, so that it is no longer serving your happiness. And so it's a great time to practice forgiving yourself or forgiving anybody that's hurt you from the past. Ultimately, this will help you to continue to focus and concentrate on building the life of your dreams, because you're choosing not to focus on the past or the nuisance and distraction of other people's melodrama. And so that is the third quarter moon, that is tonight. And then once we reach tomorrow, which is Monday, we've got the waning crescent moon. It lasts for 7 days. The self-care that's important for those 7 days during this week is rest, rejuvenate, recharge, and recuperate. And so, during these cycles of nature and of the moon, there's not much mentioned about recuperation recuperation or recharging our energy and spirit. You know, there's always so much talk about new moon and full moon, but not much talk about downtime and, you know, just going through complete cycles where we're going from rest, rejuvenation, recuperation, you know, new beginnings, setting intentions, you know, and then releasing anything that's not serving us, you know, just going through the entire cycle. And so, you know, our lives mimic these natural cycles of life constantly. And so the waning crescent moon during this week is let go and surrender to any goals that you're not able to control right now. There's nothing you need to do but surrender the idea that it will come about. Allow yourself to breathe and give up any resistance you feel in relation to your dream. So this phase over this 7 days during this week is about surrendering to the fact that your dream is coming about. And it's the perfect time for journaling and writing in your Dreamtime journal. It's important to rest and rejuvenate, recharge and recuperate your energy and spirit. And so starting on the 15th of September and running until the 21st, that is when you are needing to spend this time in self-care, recuperation, rejuvenation and rest. And, you know, just surrendering, you know, just allow yourself just to surrender, reset, and just see what comes up. Do some writing, you know, just allow some space where your energy and spirit can breathe, you know, where you're not like filling it with, I've got to do this, I've got to start that, I've got to, you know, plan to do this, you know, just this week is just about resting, recuperation. And so, you know, just be gentle with yourself this week. You know, maybe spend some time retreating if you need to. And, you know, because we got some interesting cards last week which were telling us about that we're being wealthy when we can, you know, allow ourselves to have a clear vision about the future. And so I hope you were able to, you know, have a clear plan about your future and what you're wanting to do. As I said, you know, that today, in particular, before the 7 days starts, is, you know, just one day on the third quarter moon. And so, which is a good time for the forgiveness rituals, and also just making some preliminary plans today before you start getting into your rest and recuperation week. You know, and if you didn't get chance to do your plan, then today is actually the perfect time to do that. Just you know, make a start. Make a start at writing some plans down today. You know, this will also increase your value to others. The other card that we pulled out, and this would have been a strong undertone last week about empowering yourself through letting go of painful memories from the past. And, you know, it's not like, poof, yep, we can do that, you know, that's easy to do. No, it's recognizing and being the silent observer of what's coming up during this time that you're needing to adjust and work on and release. You know, it's not something that we can just poof and it's gone. It's something that we need to keep working on until, you know, it just gradually fades into the distance. And so you become enlightened and happy and empowered when you can recognize if there's anything there, you know, that you're needing to let go of, and being mindful of any painful experiences coming up. And you know that you're doing the work, and so you know that you're going to be making progress, which is wonderful. especially when we get this card and it's from last week, letting us know how powerful we are when we can release what no longer serves us from our life. We become powerful, and we're constantly having to let go of things that are coming up, and then we're letting it go. It's coming up because the way that we experience life and the way that we experience these circumstances and events in our life is through personal experiences. And so we're letting people in, we're letting people out, because we don't know until we can experience certain situations to do with them. And so, we're constantly letting in and letting go, letting out, letting in people, because if they're not serving us, we need to let them go. And so it's the same as emotions. We can't keep holding on to emotions. We can't keep holding on to people, because it's not going to be serving us, and eventually it'll just break us down when we hold on to things too tightly, especially emotions. And it eventually will break down our spirit. It will cause disease and hurt and pain within our bodies. Then we start feeling hurt in our bodies because we're still holding on to emotions, or we're still holding on to people or places or things from the past. And so that's why last week was been telling us some pretty powerful messages about painful experiences from the past, and being powerful through the letting go process and taking back our power from any situations that have been causing us distress. And so sometimes also we get used to experiencing stress, and we get used to experiencing hurt and pain. And so when we feel that hurt and we feel the pain from certain experiences, it's like we numb it out because we're so used to feeling it. It's like it's normal. But it's not normal because our natural state is happiness, love, and it's not about always being in that state. It's always striving to be in that state. And so that's why it's always a process. It's always reaching towards where we're wanting to go. And so when we reach for our dreams, it's not just about material dreams, but it's also about our emotional needs being fulfilled, and expressing that as a part of having those needs fulfilled. And so if you've got your Dreamtime card deck, let's have a look and see the 3 animals that are going to be guiding us this week. So don't forget to grab your card deck. You've got your 100-page booklet there, and so which you can follow along every week, and we've got your 36 glossy cards. So let's have a little, and oops, that one just fell out. We're just going to put that one back in because we haven't started shuffling yet. And so I've already cleansed the cards with the dried leaves of the white sage, and I've already cleansed myself as well. And so it's a nice warm day today, which is great in Australia. And so we're just going to be shuffling these and seeing to the 3 animals actually that are going to be coming up. And so I hope you had a wonderful time last week with the ones that we pulled out. And we don't get the daytime koala very often, and so that's why I was saying to you that use this day to make some awesome plans for yourself. And so just put that one back in because I haven't finished shuffling yet. Yeah, so just make some plans for yourself today, and your future self will thank you for it. Okay, and so the first card that we pulled out this week is with Ancestral Alfinches. I am knowing when I have trust and faith in my intuition, I'm naturally guided towards the answers I seek, and this makes me strong. And so we all have a strong intuition, but we don't always listen to it, and so we don't really notice it as much when we're not following it, or we're not making the steps towards the actions that we need to take as a result of this intuition. And so, like I said, that's why we don't notice it as much. If we're taking the actions towards our intuition more often, then of course we're going to be noticing it a lot more. And so I think it's so very important to listen. And so that is what the owl finches are showing us this week. And it's card number 26, but if we go to the guidebook, which, you know, everyone will get their guidebook when they get their card deck, it's on page number 65. Are you listening to that tiny little voice inside? You are more powerful than you can imagine. Change doesn't come from an inability to see what happens next, but the ability to have trust in the feeling of something better. And so we don't need to go visualize everything and see everything all full in color and everything like that, you know, because it's about having the feelings, the experiences through feelings, you know, because that really makes a huge impact on our ability to make a change and to have the leap forward into a better life. And so the finches are very timid around humans and are happiest and lively in groups with other finches. The messages they bring are so important because it is through going into your unique self that you're able to better tune into the right guidance and direction. Often in life you are faced with many decisions and directions to turn in order to make a situation better than the last step and more spiritually evolving than the last cycle. Listen and trust, and something better is coming. The owl finches reminds us to listen and follow the call of our inner voice, and to take the time to listen to its valuable messages in order to navigate our way through life. So the action step this week to do with the owl finches: in order to make a change, you need quiet time and a space within your house so that you can begin to bring in the new changes you want to make within your life. If you're trying to change a certain area in your life, you're not allowing the room for it to come in, then you have no proper foundation. And for it to evolve, it's always best that you initiate a change, even if it's only small, rather than letting a change get forced upon you. There are always certain areas that need a lot more work than others. All it takes is a small amount of dedicated time every day, every week, or every month to start the ball rolling. Allow the finches to guide you back to your inner knowing, back to your senses, and allow them to bring the spiritual guidance you are needing right now. The owl finches, if in a negative view, is unwilling, doubtful, or stressful, you can always turn it around into a positive by making a change, focusing on being a success. And let's have a look and see the other animals that are going to be guiding us this week alongside the owl finches. I love the owl finches. The finches is one of my favorite little birdies. Believe this or not, but I have little birdies that are over 14 years old now, and I love them so much. Yeah, and so I've learned a lot over the years to do with these little ones, not just observing them in my own personal environment, but also in the wild as well, in free and out in the wild, because they only exist for about 3 to 5 years in the wild. And so mine are over 14 years old, and so it's been a privilege for me to learn from them being the age that they are at this point in time. And so the other card that we pulled out, and we're getting a theme this week to do with our intuition. I am intuitive. I give myself permission to trust in my inner guidance, which expands the wisdom of my soul. And so you're going to be going on a journey this week. Maybe it's a meditative one, or one in the car, or a physical one, or a spiritual one. And so it's going to be a good time to do some meditative journeying this week, especially while you're in a cycle of rest and recuperation. And so Black Swan is number 34. And so if you're following in the guidebook, turn to page 81. Are you feeling broken, or maybe you seem to have some pieces of the missing puzzle of your life that hasn't come together just yet? For you, Black Swan will guide you on your journey as you venture into unknown territories to find the missing pieces of yourself. And so we don't always know, and so it's going to be a great time for journeying and exploration this week. You are reaching time of journeying within yourself in order to find your way and any pieces of your hidden world. You want to regain your energy again, which has left you feeling scattered over a period of time, or maybe from a certain circumstance which caused you a lot of pain or trauma. And this could have been from the past, or this could have been more recently. The purpose of Black Swan dreaming is to teach you about individuality and the fountain of your youth, providing you with the wisdom and dreaming of your soul. Because when you can call back your energy and any pieces of yourself from the past that you feel like you've left behind, you know, that's how you can regain your energy and your youth and your best self. And so the action step this week, your soul is going to thrive by taking action to push yourself to explore your inner boundaries. This will enable you to venture into unknown territories within and places within your soul you haven't been to before. Trust in your own inner guidance through this process of the heart and soul. Meditation and music will greatly assist you during this time in expanding this knowledge of your inner beauty. And it's a beautiful thing. Allow yourself the time to be open to explore yourself more without any judgments or restrictions which could have been placed upon you from the past or negligent experiences. So the negative is being inexperienced, maybe feeling lazy, abandoned, negligence, humanity, and the positive is going on a meditative journey, inner wisdom, individual dreaming and exploration. And so let's have a look and see what this is, the last card that we're going to be pulling out this week. That is our solution card. You know, we've very much got intuition and our inner knowing. You know, it's going to be a deep week of exploring ourselves and, you know, maybe finding out anything about ourselves that we haven't, that we've maybe previously overlooked. You know, and so it's important time to write in your journal as well this week, because, you know, you can go back over your experiences and, you know, that really helps in making it real and making things come alive. Oh my gosh. I don't like getting this card. Whenever we get this card, I don't like getting it. But it's showing us important information. I knew we were going to get this card this week. So our solution card this week is I am happy, because this is our natural way of being. You know, it's our natural state. When I allow myself to recognize the negative people who are not serving my happiness, my natural flow and rhythm returns and I am peaceful again. So there's obviously people around that are not serving your happiness, and these people aren't always obvious to see, but you know, if you can recognize, you know, just allow yourself to recognize it over a period of time. It doesn't have to be in this particular week. Maybe just write a little note for yourself in your journal that just be on the lookout of anybody that's not serving me and why I may be feeling a certain way. Maybe you may be feeling a certain way that's not making you feel very happy, and maybe a certain situation didn't go the way that you thought that it would. And so, you know, these are all indicators that you know it's time to just recheck on this situation. The solution card is right here. It's telling us, I have a separate video on this particular card that goes into much detail, which I'm going to put down the bottom in the description box so that you can really go into this. So I'm not going to go into the card in too much depth, because you can really go into the video that I'm going to link down the bottom. Ancestral Sparrow reminds us that all life is precious, and although sometimes in life people can be like pests, they make up part of our lessons in this world. When a situation can no longer be resolved, it's better to walk away than to try and please someone else. And so it's not worth pleasing someone else at the cost of your own energy and your own cost of your own unhappiness. It's just, it really isn't worth it. All life is precious, and although sometimes life can be like pests, they make up part of our lessons. If you are a spiritual person, your spiritual integrity is what is taking a knock. When there is a part of us that is out of balance, eventually this can lead to more unhappiness. The best thing you can do right now is to make yourself happy by walking away from a certain situation or unpleasant situation, because you're number one. So the action step this week is there may be an understanding you need to reach that will enable you to have a feeling of satisfaction come back into your life. But first, you need to take some action to get yourself out of a current situation that's making you very unhappy, unsettled, which is not only affecting your financial situation, but weighing you down for some time. And so the negative is being depressed, removing the ties or cords that bind, lack or trust of money, unsettled. And so you can always turn this around by recognizing your own happiness and where that is lying, and the flow of life, abundance and peace. And so your happiness is number one, and don't allow anyone to tell you otherwise. And so these are the 3 cards that we pulled out this week. What a wonderful week to be getting all these cards, and this is going to be giving us some progress when we can follow through on the guidance and the spiritual guidance of these cards. We pulled out the finches, letting us know that we need to have our trust and faith in our intuition. So this is going to be guiding us to some really important answers this week. And then there's the Black Swan, also letting us know that when we give ourselves permission to trust in our inner guidance, it's going to be expanding the wisdom of our soul. And this goes out, and because what ends up happening is when we're dealing with people that are making us unhappy, we shrink. And so our boundaries are have been broken. And so but when we can remove those certain people, and we can bring back our happiness, our energy expands, our knowledge expands. And so these are the 3 cards that we pulled out. I hope you guys have a wonderful week with these 3, and I'll link that video down the bottom in the description. And have a wonderful week, guys, in having some really nice rest and recuperation this week. And don't forget about tonight. Write some plans down for your future happiness, and your future self will thank you for it. Have a great one, guys. Bye.